Okay, we're going to talk about converting fractions to percents. It's going to be a two-step thing. You're going to have to figure out the fraction to decimal and then convert it to a percent. If you watched my previous video on fractions and decimals, remember that this number goes inside the house while this number goes outside the house. And think about this, you're going to end up with something smaller than 1. So if we put 20 outside the house and 8 inside the house, 20 cannot go into 8. But I can put a decimal in 0, put decimal down here, I need to put decimal right here, and ask myself how many times can 20 go into 80? Well, what times 20 gets me close to 80? 4. What is 4 times 20? 80. And what is 80 minus 80? 0. So that means that 8 over 20 is the same exact thing as 4/10. So what I did is I changed that fraction to a decimal number, and I could take that decimal number, which is 0.4, and convert it to a percent. Well, how would I do that? Well, fairly easy enough. The only thing you have to do to change a decimal to a percent is just multiply that decimal number by 100, which is the same exact thing as jumping the decimal over 2 places. So if I was to do 0.4 times 100, or if I was to take that 0.4 and jump the decimal over 2 places, that means that the answer would be 40%. So saying if there was 20 questions on the test and you got 8 of them right, you got the final score of a 40%. Not a great grade, but at least now you know how to calculate it. Now let's say you had 25 questions on the test, you got 5 of them right. Same exact setup. 5 goes in the house. 25 goes outside the house. Can 25 go into 5? No. So I put a decimal and a 0. Now, a key thing to remember is that you are not changing the value when you're adding the decimal. Think about this. If you have $5 or if you have $5.00, that's still the same amount of money. Put a decimal here, you got to put a decimal above here. And how many times can 25 go into, not 5, but 50? You can go into it 2 times. 2 times 25 is 50. 50 minus 50 is 0. So that means that I change 5 over 25 to 2/10. And to change 2/10 to a percentage, I have to multiply my answer by 100, which is the same exact thing as doing 0.2 and jumping my decimal over 2 places, where I get the answer of 20%. So that means if there was 25 questions on a test and you got 5 of them right, you made a 20%. So if I was to kind of conclude all of this and break it down to the steps, the first thing is you need to go from a fraction to a decimal by putting the numerator, I guess I'll give myself a little more space, numerator inside the house, denominator outside the house, and then whatever answer you get up here, you multiply it by 100 to find your percent, and then you're done. Hope this helped.